So, Module 12, Lesson 3, Using Data. So, population. So, the population consists of all the members of a group of interest about data will be collected. So, if we were talking about the United States of America, we would need the data for every single solitary person in the United States. If we were talking about Rio Norte, we would need every single person at Rio Norte to answer the survey. Okay, a sample, on the other hand, is a subset of that population. So maybe we take a sample of what everybody thinks by taking like 3 of the homerooms from 7th grade, 3 of the homerooms from 8th grade. Now, the next one is a bias, and that's an error that results in the misrepresentation of a population. If a sample favors one conclusion over another, the sample is biased and the data is invalid. So if we were talking about all the students at Rio Norte, we wanted to know, how they feel about something. And when we went to poll and did a sample and only sampled the 8th graders and didn't sample the 7th graders, there would be a bias there. Okay, so before the 2021 elections for the members of the U.S. House of Representatives, pollsters called American households on their landline phones to see how they plan to vote. What kind of sample bias might have the affected poll? Now, first of all, we need to say, what is the population? And it's all likely voters. Okay, so anybody who is able to vote. The sample, the data from this poll were collected over landline phones, so the sample consists of likely voters who have a landline. Okay? Determine the potential bias because not all voters have a landline. Like I don't have a landline, so not everybody has one. The results could be skewed. They could be skewed because not all likely voters are available for the sample. Like, I have just a cell phone. My mom has just a cell phone. My brother and his family just have cell phones. My nephew just has a cell phone. My dad and stepmom only have a cell phone. So there are a lot of people that don't have landlines, so they wouldn't have been able to be a part of that. Okay, so let's do this next one. Shia wants to determine the age of the average internet user. He posts a poll to his friends on the social media site asking their age. Is this a good sample? Okay. If not, what kind of sample bias might have affected the poll? So let's look at these choices real quick. It says this is a good sample. This is not a good. The next 3 are not good samples, but it gives us a reason. He asked only people on the internet. He asked only people about users' age. He asked only his friends on the specific website. Okay, so Shia wants to determine the age of the average internet user. So if they're not on the internet, we wouldn't be asking them anyway. But the problem is he asked his friends on a social media site. He didn't use all the social media sites. He only used one social media site. He only asked his friends. Well, if he's 20 years old, his friends are going to be in their 20s, maybe a few in their teens, maybe a few in the 30s. But what about everybody else? So he only asked his friends. What about me? I'm not his friend. So there's a bias there. Okay. So the next thing says a survey. Sorry about that. A survey organization wants to see what percentage of New York City citizens support a ban on soft drinks. The question posed is, do you support a ban on soft drinks, which contribute to heart disease and tooth decay? So, first things first, identify the purpose of the question. To find out right here, what percent, find the percent, oh, that's not how you spell percent, of New York citizens who support a ban, right? Support a ban on soft drinks. That's the whole purpose of this. Identify potential bias in the question. The question lists some of the health risks of soft drinks. This might make respondents more likely to respond to the support of the ban. Why would they support it? Well, let's think about it. The bias in this question might make respondents be more likely to support the ban. Why? Because this serves the interest of a health group. Health groups want to support a ban on soft drinks or companies who sell competing drinks like juices. Okay? So there might be a bias on that because they put in. Now, if they hadn't put in this part right here, there probably would not be a bias. If you just ask, do you yes support or no don't support a ban on soft drinks, and you didn't put the rest of that, then it would have been a better question. But right now, how it is, it has a bias. Okay, next on this, it says, one of your friends wants to determine whether people in your class prefer to watch movies or TV. So the whole purpose of this is to watch movies or TV. So they asked, do you prefer to watch movies or television? Did it put anything about those movies or anything about the television? No, it didn't give specifics about anything. It's just asking you to choose between the two. So actually, does this potentially bias results? No. The question is neutral because it's just asking you to choose between two things. Whose interest might be served by asking this question? No one. Okay? I should make that a capital. It is as neutral, almost spelled it wrong again, as possible. Okay? This next one, we're starting to talk about the word statistics. Okay? You've done statistics already. You just don't know that you did. It's a measure that describes a characteristic of a sample. So, a teacher wants to tell his students how the average student did on an exam. So he looks at the scores in his gradebook. 2 students scored 0 because they stopped showing up for class in the last month and did not take the exam. He uses the mean as 71 as the measure of the center. Does the mean accurately represent the data? Okay. So are these in order? Yes, they are. So if I was going to do mode, they just told me that the mean was 71. Okay. So then we need our median and our mode. So let's look at mode first because that's the easy one. What number has the most amount? There are 3 of them. So that's our mode. So if I'm going to find a mean, I'm going to go 3 in here, 3 in there. I'm going to go 2 in here, 2 in here. Oh, look at that. Right in the middle, 87. Okay? So the question asks, does the mean accurately represent the data? Okay. So the mean is affected by what? What information pulls this data to make it smaller? What information pulls it? Those zeros. Those zeros, those pull them to make it a smaller number. Because if you look at the median and the mode, or the median compared to the mean, that's 16 off. That is a huge factor. Okay, so they didn't show up for the exam. Okay, nobody else scored below 82. That was I don't know why I'm circling it. I'm going to highlight this number. Nobody else got lower than that 82. Okay, so if I was to take out those two zeros, the mean of the class, if I didn't have those two students in there, the median of that class would be so much higher. It would be closer to the higher end of those 80s if you look at those numbers. So, the median, I wrote in the highlighter. The median is not affected. Okay? Is not affected by the extreme values. Okay? The mode, change colors again. The mode, I should write it like this, does not or doesn't reflect on the data well. It helps if you have what is that called? A subject of the sentence. Because, how do I want to say this? It just says the greatest number in the data. Okay? Sorry, I was trying to get some good words. Okay? So if I was going to say that, the mean, that was horrible spelling of mean. Mean is not the best representation. It is not the best representation. It indicates that the kids did worse. That's why when I look at your grades, I don't put in the people that are absent for the day before I figure out what the mean of your scores are. Okay, so let's go down to this one. Let's go over to this. So mean, median, and mode for this. Now when we do this, it says Karen writes down the number of books she has read for her class so far. Oh, we need to put these in order. So I'm going to say there's 1 4, there are 2 4s. There's 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. Did I do that right? 1 2 3 4 5. Yes. And then 6s, there's 1 2. Okay. It says using the mean 5, so we know that the mean is 5. She says that she read about 5 books on average for her English class. What's the mode? 5. What's the median? 5. Okay, so does the mean accurately represent? Yes. Really? The mean accurately represents the data for the situation. Especially since they're all the same number. Okay. So next, we have a group compares 2 soccer players who play the same position for different teams. They make a graph of the number of goals scored throughout the season for each player. Do the graphs misrepresent the data? Whose interests might be served by the representation? So, identify the purpose of the goal. Of the graphs, not the goals. The purpose of the graphs is to compare the number of what? Goals each soccer player scored. Okay, next, identify the differences in the graphs. Okay, if I look at the x-axis and I go straight across, those are the same. So x-axis, what do I want to say? X-axis values. It's not really values I want. X-axis, I'm just going to say values are the same. Oh, it just wants the differences. So the y-axis, on the other hand, look at the y-axis. Player number 1, it's going up by 5s, and player number 2, it's going up by 10. Oh, I should say increments. Player 1 goes up by increments of 5, and player 2 goes up by increments of 10. How does this try that again? How does this affect this representation of the data? It is misleading. It is misleading representation. Try that again. Oh, nope, I'm gonna write this. The misleading representation of the data Oh, I'm answering the wrong question altogether. That's awesome. I answered the wrong question. Why is it? Player 1, it looks like he is doing better. Look at that. Look, it makes it look like he's doing so much better. But if I look at this, this is 8:30 and 8:30. Oops, I didn't get the 8 in there. They're exactly the same. Okay. This is the part I was writing about. The I can't even do this today. The misleading representation of the data makes it appear that player 1 scores more goals than player 2. This bias could serve to help player 1 get sponsorship. I can't spell. Sponsorship or college interest. Or something to that effect. Okay.